Now, 3 months after police violently suppressed pro-democracy protesters in Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland and Africa's last absolute monarchy, the movement has carried on. Young people have played an important role in protests, with the last wave of the opposition centered around school boycotts at various high schools, as well as universities around the country throughout the month of September. On Friday, the 1st of October, scores of protesters marched to the U.S. Embassy in Eswatini to demand a respect of their rights, freedoms, and the immediate release of the human rights defenders and democracy activists who are in prison. Upon receiving a petition, the U.S. Embassy said they were pleased that organizers followed requirements of the Public Order Act, and the marchers remained calm even as they exercised their right to assemble. Joining us now are the conveners of the march, the president of the People's United Democratic Movement, Mlungisi Makhanya. I will also be speaking to the president of the Economic Freedom Fighters in Eswatini, Nombulelo, Motsa. But let's start with you, Mlungisi. A very good morning, well, to the both of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Mlungisi, it's a very important time in the democracy of Eswatini that you are fighting for. Can you just tell us how yesterday's march went? We understand that the petition was received. How are you feeling after that? Are you confident?
Good morning, and thank you very much for having us, and good morning to your viewers at home. We would first like to take this opportunity to thank the thousands of Swazis who turned up yesterday in the march. The march yesterday to the United States of Embassy was mainly about the people of Swaziland petitioning the United States of Embassy to say to the people of the United States and the government of the United States that while we appreciate the intervention and the contribution of the United States, in particular in the area of healthcare sector in Swaziland, we believe that it should be using that very strong intervention and assistance that it extends to the people of Swaziland through the government of Swaziland to exert pressure on the oppressive Mswati regime to allow democratic changes in Swaziland, because people of Swaziland, simply put, they can't breathe. But maybe I must say that, unfortunately, I do not get your question loud and clear, because at times as you ask, you start to fade. If maybe you could speak a bit louder for me.
Let's head to Nombulelo very quickly there, but thank you for that answer. Nombulelo, this has now included high schools and varsities as well, especially throughout the month of September. We saw a number of interventions in those institutions. How important is it to get the younger generation as part of this?
Thank you, and greetings to all the viewers at home. We are so excited about the response from the school-going children and all the youth out there. They are so much. We are so impressed with their work, because they are the future of the country. The country cannot go anywhere if they are the ones oppressed. It's true that we want our pro-democracy MP released, and it is them whose future is spoiled, and they cannot go to any universities because we are oppressed. Only the king's children get quality education. Our children, they finish schools and they are there. They don't get scholarships to the university, and others they get that chance to go to the university, and they don't get employment. So it is time now that everyone rise up, so that the future of the children is certain, that when they finish schooling, they will get all the jobs they want, and they can do anything, and they can get scholarships, and they can study anywhere. And the future and the quality of the education that they must get is the one the same as those whose the king's children get. And we are so impressed that everyone now is aware of how oppressed we are in the country.
Mlungisi, Nombulelo speaks about quality education that the king's children get. Is there a sort of way to make sure that a multi-party democracy will provide that?
Nombulelo is correct. In actual fact, the principal, central and primary problem in Swaziland has been the king and his children and wives. They are responsible for running this nation down by channeling much needed resources that should be going into the improvement of Swaziland's socio-economic infrastructure, such as schools, healthcare sectors, roads, etc., into spending it lavishly and into building endless palaces and acquiring luxury vehicles and private jets for himself and his family. Swazis will not be in such a dire state as they are now had it not been primarily because of the king. But we must also say that while we were hurting by the massive show-up yesterday, the other coin to this is that it is again a reflection of the high levels of unemployment that are currently prevalent in the country. Let us not forget that yesterday's march took place on a Friday, where ordinarily the majority of the people who attended would have been at work. But because our people do not have jobs, it is for this reason that we are waging this struggle, and it is this reason that this struggle is supported by all people across the board in Swaziland, because we are suffering here while we watch the king leading a lavish lifestyle.
Nombulelo, are you seeing maybe a bit more acceptance from the king? We know that when was it, July, earlier this year in June, late June, when, essentially the largest pro-democracy protest in Eswatini in decades took place, that there were about 70 people, at least 70 pro-democracy protesters killed. A number of them were jailed as well. Yesterday, largely without an incident. Yes, there are reports of one individual who was shot allegedly by police, but do you think that the king is, becoming more accepting to or listening more to the voice of the Swazi people?
I think the king can never listen to the people. If he had listened to the people, he would have given us what we wanted by now. But he's so stubborn, and I think he's trying all means to take everything to himself before that time comes. So that he can leave us with nothing. We cannot say that the king wants to do anything for the Swazis. He's just selfish.
So then where to from here? If I can take this to you, Mlungisi, you've delivered you've delivered the petition to the embassy. Where to from here?
Well, our people have given us a clear directive from yesterday, that all that needs to happen is that we must intensify the struggle. We must make sure that all arrested political prisoners are released. And this can only be achieved through sustained struggles. So we will be over and above petitioning some other strategic countries. I'll give an example. South Africa supports Swaziland in many forms. And we also think that South Africa, having assumed the chairperson of the SADC OCA and Troika, needs to make sure that it exerts much needed pressure on the king. But also we are continuing with the struggles that we are doing on the ground. You'll be seeing a lot of protests. I mean, as we were protesting at Izulwini yesterday, the workers at Big Bend in the Ubombo Sugar, which is one of the biggest mills, in fact, it's the biggest in Swaziland, are out on strike against poor wages. Like President Nombulelo was saying, there has not been effective learning in the Shiselweni region, in particular in the area of Hosea. But we've also seen sporadic class boycotts across the country. We are calling on all students, school-going learners, from next week Monday, to boycott classes and join the picket lines so that we put pressure from all corners. So it's going to be mass rolling action throughout.
Now, Nombulelo, Mlungisi is making a call to all students there. Before we wrap, just talk to me about the access to information currently in Eswatini. The protests weren't widely covered, but of course, social media was there for that. Is the access to information still free, and are these protests, are you able to get the message out to the masses with ease?
Yes, I think it's only the social media that works for Swazis now, because the other institutes have been captured, like the IBIS radio. It's been captured. They report only what the king wants the people to hear. Even the newspapers, they are captured. It's only the social media that will give true stories to the masses. And we will continue preaching the gospel of freedom until it reaches to every Swazi. And we will make sure that even an old woman, an old man, even a young one that who was born yesterday will grow up and see that we are oppressed and we want freedom. It's time that the king let go of all these things and let the people of Swaziland be free. We want democracy, multi-party democracy now. We no more want the monarchy.
Yeah.
His time is over.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's the president of the Economic Freedom Fighters in Eswatini, Nombulelo Motsa, as well as the president of the People's United Democratic Movement, Mlungisi Makhanya, joining us live from Swaziland. A very good morning to the two of you.